It's affirming.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, you're
because my mom is the first to tell me, "Why'd you wear that shirt?"
Oh my God!
Didn't look flattering on air.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Hey, Anthony, where'd you get this podcasting stuff from?
It fell off the back of a truck.
How you doing? Welcome to Breaking Bread, the podcast with Anthony Sciarratta.
How are you?
Myself, Sal Valentinetti, and of course, today we are joined by a extremely talented person, and one of the best presenters journalism has ever seen, Briella Tomassetti.
Well, thanks for having me.
Very well said.
I should say it in a news voice.
So, how would we introduce? The music starts, right?
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah. Oh, I was just about to do but that's ABC. The dun 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 dun.
Yeah. I know. Trademark.
I'm Sade Berenois.
Wait, that was good.
Is that what it is? I'm not Sade Berenois.
This is not fair because Sal has to practice the intonation and the singing. We got to get
watched
Anthony.
it so much.
Oh my God! I'm so raw at this stuff.
You just have to talk like accentuate. I don't know.
I'm the
speak a little
behind the
louder.
camera guy. I'm not the on the camera guy.
The order is incredibly natural to you. So what do we say?
Reporting in Whitestone, Queens. Sal and Anthony, back to you.
Wow,
and you got to throw a little. Depends now. You got to be mindful. This is a fun story, so you
Right.
can say it a little whimsically.
Ah.
Or sad.
Mid-Atlantic.
Sad. Back to you.
Okay, so already on live from Sciarratta PR Studios. I'm Sal the Voice.
And I'm Anthony Sciarratta.
Back to you in the studio.
Okay, that was so bad.
No, that was good. That was good.
Anthony was good, but I don't think you're supposed to look at the floor when you
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
yeah. I was focusing on the voice so much.
We were up in a helicopter the other day, and I said, "You see that ridge right there with those beautiful homes? Take a tight shot on that. That may look like Beverly Hills, kids, but that is Toad Hill. That is Staten Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little affluent.
New York's
Nugget.
Beverly Hills.
You want to take a helicopter ride? We have a helicopter tour company client now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so if you ever want to take a helicopter
I'm
ride,
terrified of heights, but
I was going to
I
say,
should
have
do
you
it.
ever been in a helicopter?
No.
You're a newswoman.
yeah.
I never, and they did the flyovers with the Blue Angels.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
used
yeah.
to do with when I worked for FiOS and I think Fox, there was some kind of legal, they didn't want to take any chances. No, there was one reporter who did it. Robert Moses did it. And then I think
Bobby Moe.
And I think he threw up after.
Yeah.
And I think he did a story recounting it this year.
Yeah, you know what it is? You know what's funny about the helicopter? It's not the flying around and and turning and all that and going sideways that makes you sick. It's the landing. It's
Is it?
once
Yeah.
it's all over.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie.
Anthony looked at each other in the car. He was like,
I talked such a big game because
Yeah.
I sat in the cockpit
Right.
with the pilot, so I didn't feel a thing.
Oh, when you're in a different
Yeah.
spot, you feel it more like you're on a plane and you feel more bumps when you're in
Yeah.
the back, per se.
Yup. So
maybe? Oh, that's
slightly.
what you're saying about
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I'm like telling you, I don't know if it was the pilot. I don't know what it was. My stomach was a lot more queasy, and I don't go on
Really?
roller coasters. I
That's
don't
the
do
weird
that.
thing, though, and it's all, I guess, about perception and what you're scared of. Like, if I go up to the edge, Hudson Yards, and they have that glass bottom, I
Right.
went up there. I could not physically stand there. I couldn't look over the edge. But then if you put me on a roller coaster and I'm buckled in,
Are you tall enough for a roller coaster?
I actually, yes.
That's-
Yeah, I just
The
make
fuck,
it.
Greg?
Every year we would go to Hershey Park. No, wait. Not even. 5'3". But we'd go to Hershey Park every year, and it would be like, you know how they have,
She goes in the
if you're
teacups.
42 inches, you're a Reese's Pieces. 48 inches, you're the
You're a
Hershey,
Hershey bar.
Yeah, and 54 inches was the Twizzler. That's what you needed to get on
Yeah.
the big roller
I was
coaster.
a Twizzler in second grade.
No, so every year we would go, and they'd be like, "You're almost there." So I'd have to wear those really big platform sneakers, and I loved roller coasters, but I'm terrified. I think it's more so free falling heights.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like
Yeah.
standing near the edge of something.
Yeah,
and looking down because I think I'm going to get pushed.
It almost doesn't feel real. Like you look like you're looking at like a movie or something when you're in a helicopter.
oh, you went up there?
No, I've been in
Well, it's so
I've
much
been in a
lower.
helicopter before. But like
Yeah.
when you're
Have
up
you?
That, when you're up that high, it doesn't.
You
feel
didn't tell
real.
me that.
Greg was
Wow.
in Vietnam. He did 3 tours.
Yeah.
They're in the trees.
For real?
No.
Oh,
No.
so gullible.
27.
You know, You could have been in the
What am I,
service.
60?
I don't know.
You could have been. Thank you for your
maybe
service,
both.
Greg.
I was in
Vietnam did-
Vietnam in 1969. I'm a time traveler.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, you're 27.
Greg.
So the math isn't mathing.
You know, Greg was on those original Black Hawk missions.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, so speaking of fearlessness, you're a news reporter, or you're a presenter, as I
presenter.
say. You are, because you do so many different things. But
That's an all-encompassing term.
It
I
is.
like that.
Well, because
and I'm going to use it more.
so I want to ask you about everything.
Okay.
I want to ask you about this new interview series, this kind of one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you about the pieces you've done, but on the subject of fearlessness, all the live shots that you do, especially when you're a woman in this business and you're out on the street and you have a camera in front of you and you have a light on you, right?
Right.
The element of the outside world is constantly trying to bring itself into your live shot.
Yeah, and that's, I think of myself as a performer when I was little. You're a performer. You have
Yeah.
lights and cameras on you all the time, so it's almost like you block out the fear after a while and you learn how to cope with it. But I guess the extra pitch that comes at me is that you can't really control what's happening behind you.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that clip from, what was it, the Juve Festival.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I hear some rowdiness behind me. I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to keep talking. It turns out these girls were twerking.
That's the
Guy
funniest
was
video
throwing up.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
haven't
this,
seen that?
This thing went viral. I was like, I'm going to learn how to use TikTok today, and I'm going to post
This is what
funny
I wanted
video.
to ask you without asking if it was all right to talk about.
Yeah, I'm an open book.
Tell us all about it.
But the funny thing is, my photographers, I've got one person that
Right.
mans the camera, and I've got another person, security purposes,
Yeah.
just in case anything funny happens. Now, I'm going through my routine like I typically do. Okay, today's the festival. We got to keep an eye on security if anything gets out of hand, but it's
Yeah.
a fun celebration of culture, heritage, blah, 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 food, all dancing. And I start, I know when somebody's behind me, but I'm not in the live shot going to go, shoot, whip
Right.
my
Let's
head
not
around.
make it look like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Correct. So I'm like, I'm going to keep going with it. Now, if these
Yeah.
people put their hands on me, I trust my photographers enough that that's not going to happen.
Right.
And I was like, it's got to, people are laughing, but I didn't know how close they were to me and that we got gang signs, like the blood signs going up.
Nice.
I didn't know this until my brother told me. He's like, yeah, that's the Bloods and the Crips.
Yeah.
What video was this?
You didn't see it?
It was a live shot.
The
Yeah.
thing that's cool about that, it was harmless fun. Now, if there were really a serious problem or an issue, somebody would have stepped in because a lot of people were commenting on this thread saying, "Oh my gosh, who would let them do that?"
Right, but it's still your live shot.
It's still my live
It's
shot.
something that's going to be attached to your face.
Correct, but
Forever.
an event like that, now if this were happening on a shooting and someone
Right.
did that, they would cut to the story.
Naturally.
Now, back at the studio in the control room, they had the option to say, cut to the package, and they let it go because it was fun.
And the other element of it is you're focused. You're laser
Locked in.
focused
It
on your
depends on the
story.
day. If I don't sleep well, if I'm having, I don't know, jitters or anxiety that day just happened to be like, I was like laser focused. But you know what's funny about those things is that you
Yeah.
immerse yourself in these neighborhoods you never thought you would go to.
Right.
We see them walking after the live shot. Hey, come back. We got it on video. They're laughing with us. We exchange
100%.
Instagrams. And I said, oh, you know what? That's really cool. Thanks.
Well, that's why they're doing all that, because it's an exciting thing to be on the news. You're on the news every day.
So it's not exciting anymore. Like, hey, I'm singing. Remember how you were telling me, listen, I got to fill an hour and a half show. The first time I did it, I was like, what the hell am I going to talk about?
Right.
You start telling stories, all of a sudden you're like, it's over. I sing, I talk to the crowd, and it's second nature.
Right.
So this all becomes like second nature for me. Now it's not second nature for me being on this side of the interview. So got to take a couple of stabs at it.
Well, it's like all those. I was so excited to do this. Anthony told me we're having Briella on. It's because I'm sitting with you. You're a great interview. You really are. And I'm sitting there and I'm going on and on and on. And I'm like, I want to ask Briella, because you're just a good. Like I just said, a good interview.
You know,
And
when
like,
it
I
comes
want
to
to ask
storytelling,
you as well what's going on.
I go
How did
through
you do this?
I go through everything you say, and I'm like, I know what soundbite is going to be a soundbite when I hear it.
Yeah. Because
So you would be a viral TikToker then.
oh yeah.
That's half the battle of TikTok.
That's it. I
what
got
you
like,
just
I don't
said.
know, it was like 500,000 views or something.
What you just
And I
said.
have maybe 3 videos, and I still don't know how to work it.
You should try to get like all your spoofs together, like all the.
That's what I wanted.
All
yeah.
that.
There was a guy outside the UN last week, and he was doing like karate.
Yeah.
So I put the I don't know, it was like the Eye of the Tiger or whatever song I put on there, and I kind of matched it up with his dance moves. And I'm like, this is funny stuff. It's everyday life on the street in New York.
Yeah, like just you like reading your story, right? But then a tight shot of this guy doing kung fu outside of the UN. Like that's a viral video right there. That is
I've got,
right.
got somebody to edit it for me and make it really good. Now I'm good at, I used to do all this stuff on my own, and that's the way you kind of work up the ranks in news. If we segue into a different topic,
Right.
You don't just, people are like, how'd you get on Fox? How'd you get to New York? I'm lucky to be back where I was born and bred. And being a native New Yorker and working in this news market is an advantage.
And
Now, when you say back,
Back.
Yeah, back.
I left, but not for too long. Now, people in news, think about it. You've never been in front of a TV before. You're coming out of college.
right.
This market, this city has to trust you telling their stories, not to mess up, which happens, and then you get better from it. And you're the face of the city, especially if you're in the anchor chair, because that's the face of the actual entire station. So it starts, if you look at DMA rankings, the lowest of the low, it's like Minot, North Dakota.
Right.
That city called me, by the way. And I was like, if I want to get into this business, I've got to go somewhere small and you've got to suck it up. Or I do something else.
And those are the call letters, Minot?
No, Minot is a city. It's I think there's like an Air Force base or some kind of army or some base there.
It was on a base.
It's a little city, but that's really all the city's known for. I don't know what else is there. It's
So you
up
moved to
northern
North
North Dakota. I didn't go there, but that was one of the stations that called me.
Dakota.
North Dakota. Oh yeah, Minnesota. I got a call from Kansas. What? It wasn't Kansas City. What else am I thinking of? Throw out some Kansas.
Tulsa?
No,
Tulsa's Oklahoma.
Yeah, no. I'm just thinking of Tulsa King.
City.
I've
in
always
This is
wanted
gonna be
go
good.
to-
Wichita.
Wichita, Kansas.
Wow.
So
Wichita's a
That's,
pretty
Zombieland.
decent
So
town.
this news director calls me. I'm like, finally, I went to University of Delaware.
Yeah.
And really all you can do is compile a small reel with bits and pieces of your college experience, which isn't a lot. So I'm like, how am I sending this to news stations?
And did you study broadcasting at UDel?
Yeah, but I
Okay.
really didn't get any hands-on camera action until the last 2 years. The first
course.
couple of years are prerequisites.
Yeah.
So I have these couple of shots of me standing there with the microphone like this, all nervous, and I get a call, from the North Dakota. I was like, that's out of the way. It's too cold for me up there. I don't like
Right.
the cold. So let's try somewhere else.
yeah.
I'll go far, but not North Dakota.
You'll go to Florida.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
West too.
Exactly. Yeah.
In
So
Florida's a good exchange.
right? And that's if I didn't get in here, I wanted to do Florida, but everything happens for a reason. Anyway, I get the call from a news director in Kansas. So they say, we're interested. Now think of, I don't know how big Wichita is, maybe a few 100,000 people.
Right.
They say, but if you want to come here, we got to start you in the bureau. You're going to be covering all these little stories in the farmland. If you're good enough, in a year, we'll bump you up to the big ranks and you can work in Wichita. And she was honest with me. She said, listen, this is not what you're used to. A lot of these news directors in these small markets, they put it straight. This is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be running around with the camera by yourself. This is Tornado Alley.
Wow.
Not necessarily is that safe. I mean, I'm sure in some cases you may have a photographer. Every station is different.
Well, and not only is it not where you're from, it's totally unrelatable to the life you lived
I was
up,
gonna say.
up
Right.
until that point.
That's why a lot of people try to stay maybe in at least a part of the country they
Right.
live in. Okay,
Like the East
listen.
Coast.
A
Yeah.
lot of upstate New York markets, but I hate the cold. I was like, I don't want to go to Buffalo. Buffalo's actually bigger. Maybe Albany or Watertown. Some of these smaller cities have small little markets.
Yeah.
You start there, you get your experience, you leave. Lucky for me, my professor goes, Briella, they're opening this tiny little NBC affiliate in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I said, oh, great. I lived in Newark, which is right up by Philly. An hour and a half down is that tiny little stretch on the beach.
Yeah, Rehoboth.
Yeah, Rehoboth. It's technically the Salisbury, Maryland market. So I would
Sorry,
cover
you gotta-
anything.
You have to say it in the local vernacular.
Yes.
Rehoboth.
Yeah, there. So Philly, that was like upper Delaware, but lower Delaware, they call it lower slower. There's really not a lot going on.
Right. Very
So you're
quiet.
covering like whatever the beach is in the summer, it's popping. And then you're covering from there down to Ocean City to like bumfuck Maryland.
Yeah.
So
Southern Maryland.
they're trying to have me pitch stories.
Yeah.
I'm not from that part, of Delaware, so I really don't know what's going on, and that's where you have to kind of do your research and, are there any city council meetings? What are people pissed off about down here? The parking, they're always trying to raise the metered parking and nobody can find spots. And they don't want you to just interview tourists who come down to the beach. They want real Delawareans.
That's right.
Delawarean.
And I'm like, how am I going to find these people outside? I'm like on a farm every day, setting up the camera, the tripod in the middle of a farm, swatting at flies. And
But you had to do it on your own, though.
so when you start, they call it multimedia journalist, right? So as a multimedia journalist, you are doing the multimedia. You are setting up the tripod, you're setting up the camera, then you're jumping in front of it, you're pressing the button.
Oh, it's just you. You're going out alone.
Is it
Yep.
an iPhone or is it a camera?
No, you have a camera. It's not the best equipment.
And you're
but you've got the
22,
camera.
23 years old.
Yep, out of college.
Wow.
Then you've got to get in the car and edit this in a time frame to make the 5 p.m. news.
Oh, so you're doing it all.
And you've got your own hotspot. And I had to drive around because if you're in the farmland and you've got one bar, this stuff
The
is
hotspot's not working.
it's not feeding back.
corn
And now it's
everywhere.
4:58.
Closest Starbucks is 40 minutes away.
Yeah, or a McDonald's. They always had like reliable Wi-Fi. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
here it's going to go through.
Yeah.
But now it's 4:58 and it says 16 minutes remaining. So
Wow.
every day I would call, it's not making it. It's not making it. And I remember the producer at that time said, "Can you do anything right?" This was a woman eventually. No, we didn't leave on bad terms. That we didn't get along. But she eventually went down to West Palm Beach. I came to New York. Never would some of these people think in a million years that I would have ended up where I was because I was green.
Yeah.
But you kind of push the negativity away, and
I love
you say
that.
when I'm going to do something, I'm going to live up to this. I'm going to make it happen. And
I love that.
You've got to push that out because it just
Right.
clouds your vision.
Because you're young, you're new, and right off the bat, someone is telling you, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah. I said, listen, we're in one of the smallest stations in the country.
Yeah.
Who do you think you're bringing in here? I don't know, throw me a big
Katie
journalist.
Couric?
Yeah, Katie Couric, NJ Burkett, like these, Gio Benitez. Like
Right.
you're not bringing these people to Delaware. This is what you're getting, kids out of college.
Yeah.
And now those same kids at that station reach out to me and ask for advice, and I will always give it, and I will always send them whatever contacts and networking opportunities I can help them with because I
Yeah.
was in those shoes.
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to find your news voice? Because everyone has their own very news.
It's a good question.
It's weird. Some people change their voice a lot for news, and I feel like it's not really authentic. Like
you-
reporting live outside from it's not real.
I did a dive this week.
Oh no, he didn't.
I sure did. And folks, you don't have to dive too deep for this one. The reel, your stand-up reel, I think it's from like 6 or 7 years ago.
I was gonna say there's one from recently, and then there's one from like Delaware.
There's one from way back. And
Just the striking difference.
your evolution
Yeah.
into
crazy?
just you getting comfortable. Like you said before, now it's kind of like a dance for you.
Is there a way, just out of curiosity, is there a way, because we were speaking about TikTok and right away my mind goes to TikTok because that's what I do. But could you set up your phone kind of simultaneously or have someone film you and you can kind of post that out? Or
Yeah.
is the content of the news the content of the news, or the content of Fox, I should say?
No, I could do that. I mean, I read a lot of notes off my phone,
Mm-hmm.
but like today I had my photographers take pictures of me. I like the outfit I was in. The UN week is a big week. Everything's shut down. You need special
Right.
escorts to get in. It's kind of a big deal. It's an honor to be there. So yeah, they just put their phone up and they can record or take pictures.
wow.
Kind of like, hey, what's going on in the background of my
Yeah.
shot?
Yeah.
Kind of like some
BTS.
originally my idea was let's do a day in the life, or what does Briella do every day? Like a lot of times they put us on these apple boxes, and originally it's it's because she's 5 feet. Yeah, I'm short, but also
crates.
sometimes they just want to get something in the background. And today at the UN, good example of that. There are people from all different disciplines, all different countries that come, and it's cool. You're next to somebody reporting from France, or a student journalist that somehow got in from a university. And there was this one woman that was on 2 huge boxes to the point where I said, if she takes a step, she's going to hit her head. And it wasn't because she's short. She must have been average height, maybe 5'5". They wanted to get that shot of the UN building behind
The whole
her.
thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And they didn't want
sometimes.
to go from underneath her.
So exactly, because never shooting up is not flattering. And there are some photographers that will still do it, or they'll be desperate to get something in the background. And it's listen, your reporter has to look good. The wind is a good example of that. Today, the wind at one point was blowing like this behind my hair. I said, that's distracting to the viewer because they're going to
Right.
say, oh my God, Briella's hair is going all over
They're
the place.
watching your hair.
They're
Yeah.
not watching
Your
what's
face.
going on today, who's
Yes.
speaking today, where's the traffic going to be
They don't
shut
hear
down.
you.
You know I'm at the UN. I established that already.
Yeah.
So change the camera angle to where the wind is blowing. And sometimes I'm just like, you don't get it. I'm the focus. And I'm not trying to be narcissistic or center of attention, but when the reporter is on TV, that's what the person's looking at. People will be like, hey, your jacket looks like extra yellow today. Thanks, it's yellow.
Yeah.
I don't.
Very good.
Makes
But
sense.
people
You
are
have to
very
adapt.
keen to detail.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you had less makeup on today. Yeah, because you know what? I'm trying to be more authentic. I don't have to put on 7 pounds of makeup to go on air. I'm a field reporter.
You're also like a human being.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
coming from somewhere and going to somewhere else.
I'm doing the makeup in the car, going over speed bumps. The photographers are grabbing stuff out of the trunk and shaking the car.
Wow. You're doing your makeup.
Or
on
I got to
city
wake
streets.
up. Or I got to wake up an hour earlier. And when you're getting up at 1:45 in the morning, I'm not getting up any earlier.
I was gonna say you're a night owl, or should
Yeah.
I say early morning owl?
Yeah.
But so what? You sleep like the day away, and you have to be up from like 1 a.m. to
I
like
try to
8?
split it because I like to do things during the day. And I never thought I would like this shift because I grew up, authentic Italian kid going to Nona's in Brooklyn and eating pasta on Sundays. My uncle is smoking chain smoking a cigarette in the living room. And we leave at 1 a.m. and I go to school the next day. And that's how we were raised, late and kind of just anything goes. So I said, when they put me on the shift, it's the most watched show on the station, so I knew that it was going to be a good opportunity, but that I was going to sacrifice a lot when it came to sleep and way of life. But now it's like, I get home at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., I have my few hours to sleep, and then I wake up, I'll go to the gym, I'll do whatever errands and laundry I have to do. I'll go, cook dinner. I'll give myself a couple hours to cook now, make a nice dinner at home, which I never really did. And then I try to go back to bed, but at night, I'm the kind of person that always thinks like I have to get up in 3 hours, and I'll count it down in my head and be like, I'm going to get 3 hours and 15 minutes of sleep if I go to bed right now.
Yeah.
I don't just turn off like a light. So that's the problem at night, going back to bed. But I do split it like 4 and 4 usually.
Wow. So
Wow.
It's never a full 8 hours of sleep during the week.
I was gonna say it's for the viewers at home. It's 5:45. How are you going to manage today into tomorrow?
Right? It's
By
crazy.
the time you get back to the city and you've done everything you do. I know every time I leave the house, I'm thinking about what do I have to do?
Yeah.
What do I need, at home or something like that?
And that's just the way we are operated to think sometimes,
Yeah.
And sometimes if you just say, I'm going to take care of it when I get home, it'll find its way, and then I'll jump in bed and I'll turn off the lights and I'll doze off. But other times, easier said than done.
I give you credit because I dread Sal and I are going to LA in less than a week now, and I dread the moments when I have to be up at 4 a.m. to catch a 5 a.m. flight or a 6 a.m. flight. I don't know how you do it. It takes everything in me to function to get up, but once
Yeah.
I'm up, I'm up.
But once you're up, you're up.
Yeah, I'm always good about
because you get there and you have the whole day.
that. That's what I love about it, but I hate the actual getting me up.
Yeah,
It's a project.
No, but you have-
It's always been a
You
project.
have to stay up and then you just sleep on the plane.
I set 7 alarms. It is a
I get
major
scared I'm
project.
not going to get up,
Yeah.
and I just won't fall asleep then. But
Yeah, sometimes.
the
I'm
morning
with you and Greg.
flights, the morning flights are less delayed. You ever take a flight I'll come home from Miami
first
and
flight.
after
They are
yeah,
less
If you don't
delayed.
take the first flight out of
don't.
anywhere in today's
you're
day,
getting
and
an
age,
hour or two delay at least.
You're getting a delay.
Speaking of growing up Italian, you were talking about your mom. What was it like? Because I will honestly never forget growing up. I would be embarrassed to go to the store with my mom if she had to make a return. The whole store would know she had to make a return.
Yeah.
So
She's talking. She knows everyone in the grocery store at this point by name, or that's the guy down the block, or oh, he got divorced, and there's always the T on somebody in the neighborhood. But now she's evolved to the point where she comments on my Instagrams and people who leave comments on my pictures. Thanks, that's my daughter, and she's excited, she's happy, but she's learning how to interact and use social media. I think when I did the story on Sal, she's like, "Oh, we've known Sal for a long time." I'm like, "Who are Mom?"
That's great, though.
But your parents should be your biggest fans and advocates.
That's a big part of being in entertainment in any way.
You need the
because we-
support from somewhere.
We're never satisfied with the level we're at. We're never proud of ourselves. So to hear it from your parents every once in a while, it's very nice.
Yeah.
It's affirming.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, you're
Because my
you're
mom
doing
is the
right
first
thing.
to tell me, "Why'd you wear that shirt?" You know, like,
Oh my God.
didn't look flattering on air.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
When I was heavy, my mother sent me like a box of tuxedos, like all big and tall, like, but these parachutes of things. Like I put them on. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's like a car cover.
Yeah.
I was a big guy, so imagine how big this jacket had to be.
Yeah. Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
God. You're right.
They have no filter.
You feel like you can never impress your family.
Right.
You know,
They're
biggest
your,
critics, but also your
Yeah.
biggest fans. So when you
True.
do something right, I'm like, I should just take it. I should not make fun of it. Just thanks, Mom.
Fair enough.
How was that when you were in Delaware?
Mm-hmm.
How long, by the way, were you at that station?
I got really lucky because now at stations, unless you're freelance, you're locked in a contract, which is good because you have job security, but bad because if you do get an offer or you want to go somewhere else, you're stuck. Delaware, this station was so small, no frills, that you could pick up and leave whenever you want. So within 3 months, I somehow got a phone call from Fios One News on Long Island, which was News 12's competitor,
Yeah.
that somebody had went from the Delaware station to there and knew of me and knew I was from Long Island, and they got a Long Island Bureau reporter opening. But here's why they referred me, because you get $500. If the new employee lasts, I think, 3 months, you get your $500 kickback. I'm like, yeah, Briella, she wants to go home. She wants to go back to Long Island.
Yeah.
And I was kind of panicking because it was the 3-month mark, and I said, the summer was great in Delaware. It was my first year post-college. So down on that little strip by the beach, everybody's going to the bars. Now, the bars close at 1 in. That was the thing there. The last call was 12:45 a.m.
It's a retirement community.
That's
Coming
brutal.
from New York,
That's
I
brutal.
didn't leave till then. My friends had to push me out of my apartment, my house. So it was fun. My friends were there. We would bar hop. I said, what happens when summer's over in Dewey Beach and Rehoboth Beach? It's going to be a freaking ghost town.
There are towns that the population is cut in more than half.
I'd say like 3/4
Yeah.
Forest Sleeve. They do all these
When
fun
the
little
summer's
things,
over, yeah.
though, like they'll have all these local deals because their locals are who they rely on to keep them in business.
So after 3 months
Mm-hmm.
doing the reporting in the sleepy Rehoboth Beach, you get a call to come back to Long Island.
Yeah.
Just walk me through you breaking the news to
the
your
station?
mother and father.
Oh, my mother and father?
Good
Oh.
question.
Well, actually, at first, I was like, oh, what do you mean? We just moved you in. We got to get you out. You got to break the lease. We got to get you home. It's always, what do we have to do? So aren't you happy I'm coming back? Yeah, of course. I can cook for you again on Sundays.
right.
But,
I love this
yeah.
because that's so accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like they jumble your head and make it filled with so.
And I don't get to finish a sentence. It's
Yeah.
always like, but wait, we have to do this. I said, I'll get out of the lease. You know,
Yeah,
the landlords
yeah.
were cool. I think they were swingers, honestly.
Yeah.
I did. And when I got out, went home.
Yeah.
But it's the same case. And, at Fios, it was one woman show, one man band. You're carrying everything around by yourself. Great story here. So one of my first few days on the job, I might have been a couple months in, North Babylon, which good parts, couple parts a little seedy. A little bit.
Yeah, we were in West
Yep.
Babylon.
We used to live in West
Yeah,
Babylon.
My first shift that I worked there was the 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. alone in the middle of the night.
Wine dance.
Now, right, you're right
Yeah.
near all
Yeah.
these seedy areas, Copig, So I was out with my gear, and this is not like now where I have a union backing me and I have 2 people with me in the field. This was go make a 5 a.m. slot, shoot, edit, write the story, get approval, and get it on the air in about 2.5 hours. They gave me this assignment. It was like a drive-by shooting in North Babylon. So it's dark out. I get the first slot done. Stand in front of the house, send it in for 5 a.m. Now the sun comes up. It's like 6 a.m. And I'm out there with my equipment. I think they wanted an update for 7. So I got to go out and I got to shoot myself again. And I got to go put it in the computer and edit it. Have my equipment out. Now the sun is up and I see the bullet holes through the door. I see some, no neighbors are out yet. I see some kids pull up in a car. Young kids, I don't know, something gave me bad juju. They're looking at me, they're looking at the house. And I go, I don't feel right. I'm by myself. I leave the equipment, I get in the car, I take off, I drive down the block. These kids rob everything.
Naturally.
They robbed the house.
Wow.
No, they took stuff off the sidewalk.
The tripod, the
They
camera.
said, look, free gear.
Yeah, a few $1,000. And I came back.
Wow.
and all I see is the windscreen rolling like tumbleweed. Because I came back like 15 minutes later, I'm like, shit, I left everything there.
Oh,
like, it's
wow.
definitely gone. I was like, I don't know, I pulled up in like a shopping center or Starbucks. I was like, let me decompress, wait a
You
little
made it
bit.
to Deer Park Avenue.
Yeah, it was DPA, I think. I think it really was.
231.
And I'm just like, all right, I need to take a breath here.
Yeah.
Once, it's fully light out, I know the neighbors are coming out, going to work, I'll go back.
Yeah.
Everything's gone. So I got to call the station and tell them this. And they told me that they had to have a sit down to decide if I was going to keep my job. So
Really?
I could have died.
Wow.
That's how, disposable, some people are at their jobs when it was me
How
or
dare
the
you
gear.
protect yourself at
Yeah,
the
how
morning
dare
and
you
wine age.
leave?
By the way, Fios 1, not a very popular station.
No.
I was
No.
That's like
Shout out News 12.
always trust your instincts. I mean, your gut told you to go, you go.
You go.
Yeah.
And listen, there was an awful scenario recently, I think it was Orlando, where a shooter pulled back up to the crime scene, opened fire on the news crews.
Yep.
A reporter lost his life, and the photographer was critically injured.
Oh my God.
So thank God when your gut tells you to leave, you leave.
There's been plenty. The reason why, a lot of people are probably scratching their heads. Well, what do you mean fearlessness doing live shots? It's because you're doing live shots pretty regularly at some grimy stuff.
Yeah,
At some
locations where
gruesome
there
situations.
are drug rings and all sorts of gangs.
There's
and
kids getting
activity.
shot by
Yeah.
stray bullets, and
Yeah.
now you have to go
Go where a stray bullet just hit
where
somebody.
stray bullets are flying, and tell everyone about it. So it can be very harrowing.
And
not having someone in your corner to back you up is
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah.
at that point you just go into work mode, and nothing bothers you anymore.
I was gonna say, I'll never forget the moment I was sitting down and I was watching TV at night, and I saw you come up on like Fox News or whatever on Fox 5. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking to myself, it was like a shooting in the Bronx, and I'm just like, she's got balls. I wouldn't be there.
I'll go
Like, you
hang
credit.
out with the drug dealers on the street.
Yeah.
Be like, "What's up, homie?" They like to see, what's going on with the news. Oh, what you doing here? And
yeah. Journalism is an intense career.
yeah,
Really,
and
they give you a lot of credit.
it's funny because I go get my blood drawn. More than a couple vials, I start to get woozy. I'm like, I can go to these gang neighborhoods and be like, "Hey, what's up?" It's just what your, I guess, mind adjusts to.
So you get back to your studio. They're contemplating firing you for having been through this situation. How long does it take you to kind of make your bones back as a New York reporter to say, I'm going after Fox 5? New York City's one of the biggest markets,
Yeah.
if not the biggest news market in the country.
It is. And I didn't think I would get there in 2.5 years, but I slowly, after this incident, climbed the ranks. I went from the overnight shift at Fios to, they kept me on weekend 4 a.m., but they moved me to 9 to 5 Monday through Wednesday. I said, now I'm getting some dayside shifts. Then eventually they moved me 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. I got my weekends off. I was like, this is great. And I was doing a story during the day at, I think it was like a health food shop in Manhasset or something along those lines, or Woodbury, Syosset, somewhere up there that had gotten, was victim to a phone scam. They took a lot of stuff. So there's a Fox photographer there. He was just shooting it solo and didn't have a reporter. And he said, you got a lot of stuff to carry. Let me shoot your stand-up for you, which is the part of the story where the reporter appears on camera. If you're
Yeah.
not live, it's just you're showing something and establishing your presence in the story.
By the way, another great reason to watch her reel is because that's how I found out what stand-up is.
Ah, really?
Because I was waiting for you to tell a
Stand-up.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, stand-up comedy. Certain news lingo, yeah.
Yeah.
VO, VOSOT, soundbite, stand-up.
Yeah.
List goes on and on. I said, okay, yeah. And I start to get nervous now. I have someone else filming me from a big station. He's going to be like, you suck. Like,
Yeah.
this girl is an amateur. And he's like, you want to stay at Fios much longer? I said, not really. It's been like 2.5 years. I want to get out of here. But I had hired an agent who told me, first of all, my weight kept fluctuating. I said, you work for me. I hired you. And that he said, listen, you're a New York reporter, but you're not New York quality yet. So I'm going to send my stuff
Boo,
where
who
I
is
want.
this guy?
Are you kidding me?
Who's now to this day calls me and asks if I need a job.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. Take a hike.
Yeah, which I'm still locked in this contract with for, I think it's 6 years. I'm out next year.
Oh.
So it ended up
Take a hike
take a
next
hike
year.
next year. Whatever. Everything happens for a reason. You live and you learn. The agent wasn't getting me anywhere. I was applying. I almost got a job in West Palm. I made it through a bunch of interview rounds, and they gave it to somebody who lived in Florida. Makes sense. You don't have to deal with the move. So I meet this photographer. He shoots something for me, and he says, why don't you just send your stuff to our news director? And in my head, I'm like, I'm not good enough to be at a city station yet. Like, I don't know what this guy is thinking.
Because that's what you're being told.
Being told by an agent, yeah,
right.
and my confidence issues in myself that I'm not good enough yet.
Right.
Said, no, the Long Island Reporter is going on maternity leave. I know that they're going to be hiring a freelancer soon. This is your in. Sent an email to the news director. I think it was assistant news director at the time. He's now news director. And I said, listen, just take a look at some things. I'm born and bred here. I really would like a shot. Didn't answer. My mom goes, you better follow up. I said, no, he didn't answer. She said, you better send that second email. I said, okay. Hey, did you get my email? Hey, yeah, you know what? Why don't you come in next week, whatever this date is, for the interview? He said, I actually, and this ended up being a guy from Dix Hills who was flipping through the stations and had seen me on Fios before.
Files. Wow.
Obviously, I was green. I was new. But he saw something in me and said, we can mold this girl and she'll get better. Went in for the interview, and my mom, who is my biggest fan, go, she said, I want to be honest with you. This is Fox 5. There are probably a lot of people they're interviewing, so don't be upset if they don't call you. I said it was just cool that I got to be in a big city station. They called me the next day. I was eating lunch at like a taco joint in between stories at Fios, and I got the call, and he said, we'd love to have you work for us. And I almost started crying because I didn't think I was good enough,
Isn't that terrible?
right?
Isn't that terrible when your mother's right?
Yeah. It's crazy. I think like now I'm almost 6 years in, and all that I've accomplished and how much better I've gotten and how nervous I used to be going live and how I've messed up in the studio when nothing was in the prompter and I froze and all these little mistakes. And now I'm, sitting outside in Times Square and talking like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's weird.
And at the UN.
Yeah.
Briella is everywhere.
Literally.
And she does everything. So this is why I said I use the term presenter, because it's not just the stand-ups and it's not just the the pieces like you were saying like this Fios one thing you were doing about this victimized store wasn't going to be like a live shot. It was going to be a piece that you put together, edited, and did all that. So you're not just all that. You're not just the consummate newswoman. You are a great interviewer. If you guys haven't seen, Briella has a great series out where she does a series of sit-down interviews with different people. I got to be a part of it. And Briella's a great interview. You are very, very good at engaging people and remaining with them and making the viewer interested into what they have to say. And
the key is, I try to come off very nonchalant and almost informal and giggly because that's naturally who I am as a person, and you don't get to see it in a lot of the stories I cover because when you're doing the morning gig, it's a lot of breaking news. So I try to kind of let my personality shine in these fun little, other stories that I'm doing, spotlighting musicians, and whatnot, businesses, Italian people. And you have to think that some of these people have never been in that seat before.
yeah,
And they are overwhelmed, so you talk to them like you're their friend.
that's a lot of ice to break through.
Yeah, it is.
But you have that firstborn Italian child energy.
Oh, how did you know? Oh, yeah, because I told
breaks
you I have
through.
a sister and a brother, yeah.
But you still share that closeness with your family. You're still on the train to go see your family as often as you can.
It's so important, too, because
Yeah.
you don't realize until the time is gone or somebody gets sick, knock on wood.
God forbid.
Yeah.
know
How little time you have sometimes with the people that you love the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we get older, that's what we learn. How
And
about
it's
that?
funny because now on the weekends it used to be, oh, it's New Year's Eve, I got to go out with my friends. And I typically work these holidays. But now on a Friday or Saturday, I'm like, I just want to go home and hang out with my mom.
Yeah.
As annoying as she is, I want to sit in the yard and drink a nice bottle of wine with my parents, have the fire,
That's nice.
and just hang out with the dog.
There's nothing better than
My
sitting
brother,
in the backyard with
you
a
know?
nice drink.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I don't have to get up the next day.
Well,
It's
because
just
Long
like-
Island, we have
I'm also-
actual backyards.
I'm also a big fan of your dog, Chester.
Oh, Mr. Chester, the
I'm
molester.
Instagram.
I feed him mortadella.
Oh, yeah.
We get
Oh,
him
yeah.
Ralph's Ices. I'm not even going back. But the story behind Chester is my first dog passed away at 10 from cancer. My sister brought him home when she was little, and she immediately was like, on to the next dog. And my mom was like, we need time. And this was 2017, I think. She goes, oh, I saw a dog I like. She brings my mom. My sister goes, that dog looked at you, Mom. My mom said, no, it didn't. She said, yeah, the dog ran to you, started licking you. So she brings the dog home as a surprise on my birthday while my mother was in the city out to lunch with me. My sister's like, I can't make it. I have to study. She goes and adopts this dog and tells my dad that it's like her friend went to Thailand and she's watching the dog. I mean, it was like the most silly, unbelievable lie. Eventually,
not a good
yeah,
liar.
Yeah, eventually they catch on.
Went to Thailand. Interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, okay, anywhere. Eventually, they're like, okay, she brought this dog home, and he's adopted, so he's like feisty, he's biting, he has attitude problems. My mom's like, there's no way we're keeping this dog. Eventually, we worked it out. He still has his issues every now and then, but he's so expressive, he's lovable.
Yeah.
But my sister picked up and moved to Miami. And the dog is very skittish. We used to take him on walks. He's better now, but he wouldn't walk. He would pull back if he heard a noise. So my sister's like, I can't take the dog to Miami. So who gets stuck with the dog? My mother. So he's the Long Island dog now. And I said, it's great because you're like an empty nester now. My brother comes and goes. He still lives home.
Yeah.
But I said, you have always been, and I, really admire this about my mom because I was always working, and she is like a true a mother.
Yeah.
She raised 3 kids, and that's what she spent most of her time doing. So this is like her 4th child, and it came natural to her that everyone left the house, and she needed something else to take care of. So
It's her baby.
Yeah. He stays there, and I visit him when I'm there and take him out and hang out with him. But city's too crazy for the dog.
I was gonna say, I feel like I kind of know Chester because I see your stories and like I see it's so cute. Like you get him in all these like
Yeah, he's cute little
angles and stuff, and he's always
I know,
doing
everyone-
something
everyone
funny.
Loves their dog.
Chester
Yeah.
the
Chester
molester.
the molester.
I just came out one day and we stuck with it.
Your parents are
Figuroni.
both Abruzzes?
My father is Abruzzese and my mother is Napolitano and Barese, but she's more Italian American.
Yeah.
So they're both not all, your dad.
My dad's
your
off
dad's
the
off the
boat.
boat,
Yeah.
and your mom's Italian
My
American.
mom was raised in Farmingdale. That's why they went back to Long Island so that my parents, my mother's parents could help raise me when I was born. And then they got the house and my mom got pregnant with my sister.
Wow, town of Oyster Bay people.
Yeah,
Are you at home in the city? Like, do you
Do
feel?
I feel at home?
Do you feel? I mean, obviously, there's no going back to Long Island in sight for the near future.
I don't think so. I think maybe if it were time to raise a family, I think I would want to move to Florida and do it in the suburbs down there just because, I don't know, I feel bored.
You can see yourself switching markets to Florida.
Or depending, I don't know. If I meet someone rich enough, I don't have to work anymore. But then, you know what? I was talking
Fair
about
enough.
this and money. If there's no dollar amount you can put on anything because I feel like I would have no self-worth or sense of,
Do you love it?
I like what I do.
Yeah.
So if
I mean, you have to if you
lose
go
your identity.
If you're going into these neighborhoods and
Yeah.
these situations where you're dodging,
I would get
bullet
bored.
holes and and all that, that's a very exciting. Like I said, journalism is
Yeah.
a very intense career.
I think when you reach the point where you hear the sirens and the subways
Yeah.
and the trucks outside your window and you fall asleep to it, it's like, all right, I guess I belong here.
Do you think now, since it's such a part of your life and you're so good at it, you're like I don't like that like it's almost like, hey LeBron, we know you're in your prime, but do you want to quit basketball forever or something? Would you be able to
To
at
stop.
this, especially your career is on such a roll, like you are on your way to becoming, I don't even want to just say anchor woman because your interviews are so good.
Thank you.
Like on your way to even 60 Minutes on this trajectory or something like that. And doing and taking that journalism to a whole new height. Is it something that you could say like maybe one day, I'll walk away from or I'll step away from?
I think it would be nice, to not do the full 5 days a week. Sure, anybody wants to work part-time and you can do it when you want, but that's not really the answer in the news world. It's like
Yeah.
I took a train here at 3:30 in the afternoon, tell me how Grand Central is already packed. I thought these days were 9 to 5. Nobody works all day anymore. They have Fridays off. And like the whole way that the world, the city works has changed, has evolved ever since COVID. Basically, the whole country has changed. So,
Yeah.
and then you have the conversation of AI and what role that's going to play in journalism soon.
True.
Big time.
And a lot of people are getting laid off because they don't need to fill these positions anymore.
They
And
don't
that can be
need
kind of
writers.
frightening. Like, what is the future of journalism? And I have this conversation with people all the time. You don't know.
Journalism can take you in so many different routes.
And the good thing is I can pitch a story whenever I want. I just know at the end of the day I'm putting my own blood, sweat, and tears and a little extra time into it. You know, my normal morning shift, I have to cover what news is out there. If I want to pitch something, like I was looking at, my next little musician spotlight, I want to talk to Jackie Romeo because she's from Massapequa, and I think
she's great.
I think that's so cool that she's from the same town as me.
From
you
The
know?
Voice.
And I keep doing these The Voice, America's Got Talent, but I think the stories are so unique because that audition process is like grueling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said before, you have a true interest in people.
Yes.
And that really shows through.
So
Yeah.
I pitched the story. We're trying to find a date that works. But if I want to do something that's of interest, I want to walk down Italy, a little Italy.
Is coming from, a musical background
Mm-hmm.
and being interested in theater and all that,
Mm-hmm.
is that what propelled you towards broadcasting? Is that
I
what
think
kind
so
of
because
made up your mind?
I was speaking to a producer when I was 17 out in LA, and
Yeah.
of course they wanted you to come out here, but you're going to put 100% in, and you might not get anything. You know how it is. But they said if you go to college, do not major in music performance. You can wipe your ass with that degree. You can do it, you'll enjoy it, but you can sing without a music performance degree. They said have a backup, do something else, and I joined an a cappella group, learned how to beatbox a little bit, and I did the communications. And I said, listen, the performing, the auditions, it was getting, the anxiety was getting bad. I said, I still want to be in the limelight, and I could always do this on the side if I want. My mom said, do the comm degree and go into news or, broadcasting or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I walked into the after-school meeting in my freshman year, and I walked out, and I said they were all weird. 2 years later, I think my junior year, I finally went back, and I said, I don't have a plan yet, and if I don't stick this meeting out, I'm going to get nowhere. So let me just see if I like this. And they threw me on the anchor desk, and the rest was history.
Wow.
I said, this girl I guess she's okay. And that was college, Briella. So then it's been a lot of learning and mistakes made and lessons learned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Briella Tomassetti, yet another household name to come out of Massapequa, New York.
Massapequa.
Massapequa really pumps
Really?
them out.
Yeah.
Well, Briella Tomassetti, again, there's so much more.
I always get nervous
to you
doing
about.
these things, and then they're over before I have time to get nervous.
Well,
I'm flattered you were nervous about the podcast.
just for the same reason you're a great interview, you're a great conversation. You're so easy to talk to, Briella, and it's been such a joy and such a pleasure.